champions go into the half of this one 1-0 up, Farah. But when we've been speaking about them, yes, being ruthless, getting the job done, but they haven't really played at any sort of pace today.
Yeah, I mean, they've made 8 changes from the team that won midweek that actually won the title. But you're right, there's been some real disconnect in this team, and maybe that amount of changes has really added to that. There's been no intensity in their play, both in possession and out of possession. But what they're doing, Alex, is what Chelsea do best, and finding a way to get a goal, even in a game where they've had very few chances, and Tottenham have probably dominated the opening 45.
Do you think it's the amount of changes, Anita, that affects, I suppose, the patterns and relationships? It's hard to make that connection?
Yeah, absolutely, Alex. I think that it's disrupted their play. They haven't quite found that fluidity, the interchange of movement, and that instinctiveness that you play with when you play with your teammates regularly. And it's been beneficial to Tottenham, but equally, Tottenham have had a couple of chances and have to put them to bed.
I know. Do you think Tottenham can go into this half actually feeling quite positive? Yes, you are 1-0 down, Farah, but I suppose they've had the chances, like Anita has said.
They've had a good few chances, one real clear-cut chance before the half that they would have liked to have got themselves back into the game. But I think they found a way to get beyond this Chelsea back line, and we'll have a look at that in a minute. But Chelsea have a high line, and actually they're using some of their strengths down this left-hand side with Jesnaz and her pace to try and get beyond them, and they've done it really well. So I think if they can find that quality in the final third, then they could take a lot of positives from the opening 45.
OK, well, let's look how the champions are 1-0 up, Anita. Frustration from Neville in terms of when you're looking at it as a defensive point of view to give away the penalty like she did?
Yeah, it's just clumsy defending in the end. You see here, she goes to make the challenge. It's a little bit rash, and she just sort of collides into Macario as she tries to put her foot in and brings her down. It's a clear penalty, but again, it took individual creativity to get that situation for Chelsea through Macario, who I think at times has been quite lively.
Yeah, she's been a bright spark, but I mean, the execution of the penalty, she took her time with it, really like that. She didn't go off the referee's whistle, had a little delay, composed herself, and then the execution of the penalty you'll see here just wrapped it across the goalkeeper. Fantastic finish. But actually on the penalty, she wasn't going anywhere. She's dribbling across the edge of the box, isn't really going anywhere, isn't really a danger. And then out of nowhere, Ashley Neville decides to lunge in and give away a penalty for her team. So
yeah, Macario's 10th goal of the season, signed from Lyon back in 2023. In terms of Spurs, we've said about how they've been positive, and they actually had a huge chance just before half-time, Anita.
Yeah, Charlie Grant found herself in a great position. It all came through positive play for Tottenham. You see here, she gets 1v1 and she goes to take that shot on early, but Hampton does well to get big, make herself, cover the goal and force her to take that chance. And I just think she was able to compose herself a bit longer. She might have been able to either take it around Hampton or just find a dink over Hampton as she goes to ground. But you don't get that many chances against teams like Chelsea, so you have to put them away.
Yeah, it was just that second touch. I think her first touch actually got it out of her feet and got away from the defender. A second touch brought it back in, so brought her back in the line of the goalkeeper. What she needed to do was take it offline and go the way she was going, and it might have been able to round Hannah Hampton. She went in line with Hannah Hampton, and then it becomes a real difficult opportunity to score.
Farah, speak to me about how Tottenham have been positive, especially down their left then.
Yeah, they've got pace with Jess Naz down this left-hand side, and I think they're aware of that. And you'll see Ashley Lawrence, the right back who's filling in for Lucy, she just seems to be getting caught in no man land and leaving that space between herself and the centre half. And then we see on this occasion Beth in England. But you'll see here, Ashley Lawrence wants to get, Jess Naz comes short, Ashley Lawrence wants to get tight, and then what it does is leaves a gaping hole in behind, and is where Tottenham strikers or wide players are wanting to get into. But I think Jess Naz has been a real threat for them, and I think it's the balance. We've heard the manager on the outside here, Alex, talking to Lawrence, drop off, deny the space in behind, and she's not doing that. They're committing to players, and in doing that and by following them, they're leaving huge gaps in behind, and giving the opportunity for Tottenham to create chances like this. A really good recovery there from Cuthbert, but it's something that I'm sure going into the half, Sonia Van Postel will be saying to Ashley Lawrence, you've got to deny the space in behind first, unless you're fully going to win the challenge, because she's getting caught into no man's land, and in doing that, as I say, opportunities are opening up for Tottenham.
Do you think that is the thing with Sonia Bompasta? Because we heard her on the sideline saying, communicating, drop off, but then actually sometimes as a defender, Nita, you can see what's happening, but you've then had instructions from your manager.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the players have to adjust to the pitches that are being delivered in front of them. They're too eager at times. Ashley Lawrence is a good example of trying to get tight too early before the ball has even been released, and then allowing all that space in behind, which means the centre-back gets dragged across, and it's a monopoly effect. Everybody suddenly is having to make these late reactions. So that if they can just solve that, work on their timing and staying connected, they'll be able to deal with the depth in behind them a lot better.
Farah, you've been frustrated with the press from Chelsea today.
Yeah, I
Why
just
is
think they're playing against the second worst defence in the league, and they're half-hearted. They're half wanting to do a high press here and half not. You've got to block initially Macario, the line of the pass into centre mid. They don't do that, and they allow Tottenham to get out on the opposite side. But the disconnect between the 5 that are pressing and the 5 that are defending, the gap is too big, and they're able to find passes in between the line. There's not enough aggression in here.
Yeah, the structure initially was actually pretty good. You can see there they got cover of the 2 midfielders, but they allow in these spaces into the midfield of Tottenham because the timing is off. They're not arriving as and when that ball is delivered, and then Tottenham are able to play in and around them, through them, beyond.
But do we have to give them, because look, they've won the title, it's already done with 2 games to go, Farah.
They're probably on the beach a little bit, aren't they? They'd like to be, but they do have a big FA Cup final, and they do have that invincible season that they'll be looking at. I think the problem is the amount of changes. It's really difficult to come into a team, and we know, we've all been there, especially with England at times, where we change the team, and it's difficult to get those connections in and out, communication, lines of communication, and we can see that when we're watching, passing on players. Are we going to go with them? Are we not? And I feel like individuals are trying to take that responsibility, but in doing that is making it more difficult for them as a team.
Is that tougher for Aaron Cuthbert in there today?
Yeah,
being the captain as well.
Yeah, I'd hate to be in that position. You've got new players in and around you. We know that Erin is very good at adapting. That's probably why she's one of the ones that have stayed within the team. And it is difficult to try and get those connections and understanding of players that are around you, communicating it and where you want them when you've been used to playing with a certain type of player.
Okay, well, it's a busy day in the WSL. Let's have a look at what else has been going on. Yes, it's double derby day as Everton beat Liverpool 2-0. And Man United drawed against City today, 2-2 the result there. And Crystal Palace currently losing to Leicester. And it's just kicked off in the 3 p.m. game as West Ham are hosting Aston Villa. And tomorrow, second place Arsenal will be travelling to Brighton. Okay, this is how the WSL table is looking. Well, no one can catch newly crowned champions Chelsea at the top of the table. And after Manchester United's draw against City today, the top 3 Champions League spots have also been secured, with Manchester City now 4 points adrift. And at the bottom of the table, Crystal Palace have been officially relegated back into the Championship after 1 season in the WSL. The WSL champions get the job done once again. Farah, as we came into this match, you were analysing Chelsea's season. Something you picked out was the 1-0 wins and the difference it's made for them this season. And once again, it's not been the most vintage game, but they just find a way.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much summed up their season. I think, as you mentioned there, Alex, it's the 9th game they've won by only 1 goal. So I think it shows how tough it is. When they come up against teams like Tottenham and teams that want to make it difficult. They've obviously made those changes today, so we expected the game to look a little bit different. But look, it's the most times they've won by a 1-goal margin, in the last 6 seasons of winning this WSL. So it's been a slightly different season, a slightly more difficult season when they faced other teams in the WSL this year. But one, they found a way of winning, and I think that's the most important. I think you can be the prettiest of teams and get results as and when and pick up no trophies, but this Chelsea team at times play ugly, at times don't look easy on the eye and can frustrate people, but at the end of the day what they do, Alex, is win silverware, and they've comfortably done it this season, with 2 games to spare. So yeah, not the greatest of performance, but they've done today what Chelsea do best, and that's pick up all 3 points.
You see the team in the huddle there, Nita. Is it hard to actually, as a player, when you're analysing yourself and the team, we see Sonia Bompasta doing it there, but actually it's not been the most prettiest game, you've played the most attractive football today, but it is being like, do you know what, okay, we've got the 3 points and we have to move on. We are champions, but it's finding that motivation, especially when in 2 weeks' time you've got an FA Cup final and you're coming here to a Spurs stadium just to play out these remaining games.
Yeah, of course. I think for the players, they have such high standards that they set for themselves. So in terms of performance levels, they always want to match that. But ultimately, the goal of staying unbeaten, they're achieving that. They've still got one more game to go. They're in the cup final. They'll be looking ahead to the biggest goal, which is to add another trophy to the cabinet. So, they're on course and they got the job done in a professional manner.
Do you remember in your unbeaten season with Arsenal, kind of what the manager Vic Akers was saying at the time, every time you went into a game?
Yeah, I think, as we know, Alex, our team was a team of players that we had strong leaders, we had a manager that believed in us. Not every game was pretty, not every game we performed at our best, but the goal was always in sight, and having the character and the mindset to fight in those games and capitalize on moments that you get. And the penalty situation was a moment that they created from, Tottenham's error.
Well, talking about Vic Akers, actually, let's bring in the Chelsea manager right now, who's standing over your shoulder right there. Sonia Bob-Hasta, congratulations on the win again today. We were just talking about, Anita was talking about this invincible season at Arsenal and how hard it is maybe for these players, already the champions, but the motivation to keep going in games now.
Yeah, that's really important. When you want to be a competitor, you have to have this mentality. We still have 2 games left, 1 more now, and we want to stay unbeaten. I told my players before the game, we want to come here and make sure we have a good performance to win and get the 3 points. That's the mentality we need to have, and when you are a competitor, you want to win every single game until the end.
How do you analyse your team's performance then today?
I would say I'm proud of them because, as you could see, we rotated a lot the squad today. We gave some opportunity to some players to perform, to show themselves for the FA Cup final. We played with a back 3, we changed a little bit the shape, so we are really well done because it was not easy for them.
Yeah.
But when you say as a manager in the beginning of the season, we have depth in the squad, that's about it today. And all the players are really involved and they were able to win today all together.
Sonia, how difficult is it when you make that many changes into a team and to keep those connections both with the ball and without the ball? And you only have a few days to prepare.
Yeah, only 1 day, to be honest. That's really difficult. So that's where my job is to make sure I give them the most clarity I can on the game plan. We practice on the day before about the game plan, out of possession, in possession of the ball. But also you rely on their quality and their talent because they have experience, they have talent, and they also can play all together in a nice way without me telling a lot.
One more.
Yeah.
Was you aware, coming into the game that this Tottenham team have never beaten Chelsea? Was you aware of that stat coming into it?
No, I didn't know. I didn't know
you
that
kept
stat.
the record going.
Yeah, exactly. That's the most important.
Yes.
Yeah.
Obviously, Sonia, you're the first, this is your first WSL, first manager to come in and win it in the first season. What have you learned about the league that you might have not realised watching it from afar previously?
I think before I joined, I already knew it was a really competitive league, but now being part of it, I really think that's the most competitive league. As a staff, because a lot of times people talk about me, but I have a really good staff around me, and we work really hard making sure we get the game plan in every game right. But this season has been tough. They change in the other teams some manager, especially before our games. Nick Cushin came in before the 4 games against City. We had to watch a lot of games from him when he was the New York manager. So we work really hard. René Sleger is doing well in Arsenal. This season has been tough. I'm really proud of everyone in Chelsea. And that's something I will probably reflect even more during summer, I'm really proud.
Okay, Sonia, we will let you go, and we will see you in 2 weeks at the Cup final at Wembley.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you
so
for
much.
joining us.
Have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you. You can leave the mic with us. Mic drop. Thank you. And just actually quickly looking ahead to next season, can anyone close the gap on this Chelsea team, Anita?
Hopefully a fit Man City team. I think, Arsenal, of course. The way they finished the season, they got to start that way.
Well, I suppose Manchester City today had all those players coming back from injury, so maybe look into next season. Thank you too. As always, a big smile from Farrah Williams, of course, because Chelsea are the champions. 21 games gone, 1 to go for Chelsea to call themselves invincible. We'll be at the Emirates next week as Arsenal take on Manchester United. We'll see you then.